Oh, here we go. Here we go. We are live. What's up, everybody? Facebook fam. What's up, Instagram fam? How y'all doing? You guys should see me on a replica of a replica. How we kind of doing this, where you guys should see that we're doing it as well. And we're going to go on and get started. I don't want to hold you guys up anymore. I'm excited to be here. My name is Fred Lynch, and this is a part of something that we're doing every week. We basically call this our 15-minute meditation retreat with the Sacred Hum. The Sacred Hum, of course, is a project that I put out that where hip hop meets meditation, where we have two beautiful expressions or expressions in hip hop and then in meditation. And although these two seem like they're far from each other, they really, in a sense, have beautiful places and ways that they touch. And so we're going to touch on much of that today. Without further ado, I want to connect you guys with someone. I finished reading this book and talk about synchronicity and how things flow together in a crazy way. This is Dr. Jim Doti. Doti, I don't even want to hold him up too much longer. I want to go and bring him right on. Dr. Jim Doti, what's up, Dr. Doti?
I'm living the dream. So I'm happy to be with you today, and it's wonderful to connect with you and your audience, and I appreciate you having me.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. I am going to do this shameless plug, your book, man, Into the Magic Shop. And what it says a neurosurgeon's quest to discover the mysteries of the brain and the secrets of the heart. This is a New York bestseller. The way I got connected with you is I saw you on Google Talks. And at the same time that I saw you on Google Talks, and I was just blown away by it, a mutual friend who is a very good friend of mine, a coach, I would call him a mentor, and he would smack me back and say, "Don't call me a mentor, just to say I'm your old friend. I'm your funkadelic relic." Okay, that's my nickname for him, the funkadelic relic. And he connected me with you, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I just saw this man online, as well as I ordered your book and started reading it. When we connected, you sent me a copy of the book. Okay, so I bought the book. I have it digital. I have it in the physical. I devoured this book, and I want to talk a little bit more about what it meant. But what can you just share a little bit of your life and what this book is about, and what it's doing in the world right now?
Well, thank you. So basically, the book is if you want to call it a memoir, it's not an autobiography. By that, what I mean is it tells specific parts of my life, but it's not a linear conversation necessarily in terms of time. But my story is, and some of your listeners can appreciate this, I grew up in poverty. My father was an alcoholic, and my mother actually had a stroke when I was a child. And as a result, she was paralyzed. She had a seizure disorder. Ultimately became chronically depressed, attempted suicide multiple times, and obviously that's a very challenging environment. In fact, there's something called adverse childhood experiences. If you look at a child's life growing up, if there's alcohol or drug abuse, if there's mental illness, if there's poverty, if there's violence, each of these add up to a score. And the higher the score, the reality is it's less likely that you'll be, quote unquote, a success in life. Now, we can talk about what success is, but regardless, in terms of your potential for being your best self, if you will, or even in regard to your health, this concept of ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, is profound. And a lot of data has been done that demonstrates that. And the other sad part is that if you look at someone externally, especially in our society, they try to present themselves as having their act together, that they have this job, they have this title. But because of people's fear of being judged or being authentic about trauma they've had in the past or understanding how that trauma influences them, they put on this projection of how they want people to see them. And the horrible thing about that is people can be deeply suffering, yet appear just fine. And I think it's people really afraid of showing who they really are to others because, unlike in old times, where you lived in the same village, you were born there, you died there, you had relatives there, everyone in the village knew you. The thing about that is they know exactly who you are and they still love you. In modern society, you don't have relatives around close by oftentimes. You're working in an environment with strangers, and as a result, you don't feel that sense of safety. And so you try to protect yourself. And it's really quite unfortunate. But at the age of 12, I had hopelessness, despair, fear, anger, anxiety. And as a result, I did not feel I had a future. I had lost hope, if you will. And one day I rode my bike far away from where I usually ride it and came to a strip mall. And in that strip mall was a magic shop. And I was into magic at that time. And I went in and I was greeted by this incredible woman who had long flowing gray hair. She had glasses on the tip of her nose with a chain holding them on, reading a book. And she looked up and she had this incredibly radiant smile. And very quickly I felt comfortable with her, which is hard for many of us because we always think we're being judged by people. Right. But I felt very comfortable and we began talking. And after a while she said to me, she said, I'm here for another 6 weeks this summer. If you show up every day, I think I can teach you something that could really help you. And I did show up every day, and this was at the age of 12. And frankly, it wasn't because I had any particular insight. It was, one, because I had absolutely nothing else to do. Two, she was nice. And three, she was giving me chocolate chip cookies. Boom. So with that combination, I showed up every day. And during that period of time, she taught me a relaxation meditation practice that first allowed me to relax. Because if you grow up in these traumatic environments, it's like constant trauma. So you never know what's going to happen. You're always looking around and you can't relax and you're always tense.
I like to call it the jump off spirit. You know something is about to jump off at any minute. So you're constantly in that state of it's about to jump off.
Well, and the thing is that what happens is this is a form of post-traumatic stress disorder as you get older. And we associate that with soldiers, but many, many children have experienced that, and it affects their life. And so anyway, she taught me this initial breathing practice, relaxation practice, which falls in the context of traditional mindfulness. And then she had another component, which actually I have utilized, which is this idea of self-compassion. Now, this wasn't called that at that time, but what she made me realize was that I had this voice in my head that kept saying, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, people will find out about you, you're an imposter, et cetera, et cetera. And I thought that narrative was truth. But what I realized is that narrative was a false narrative based on life experiences or the interpretation of my world and people being critical or not looking at you from the context of being a human being and your potential. And so that narrative, though, for many people creates a prison for themselves.
Sure.
And that once you say I can't or it's not possible, that then becomes your reality. So that is where I was living. And she made me understand that was a false narrative and then gave me a set of tools that allowed me to accept that I was worthy of love, that I could do anything, that anything was possible. And that changed my entire narrative from hypercritical to loving. And then that changed everything because once I could love myself, then I could look out in the world and love other people and understand everyone is suffering. And then this led to this, if you will, this idea of universal compassion or common humanity. And once you change your lens, it also changes how you look at people, how you judge people, how you accept people. You know, I used to have a lot of anger at my parents, that they failed me, that they didn't love me, that if only they had done this, it would have been okay. And what I realized was that they were suffering in their own way, but they did not have the tools to alleviate that suffering.
Wow.
So, in the context of my father, he drank. In the context of my mother, she was constantly ruminating. Why did I have a stroke? Why did this happen? Why are we in this situation? And so I forgave them. I no longer had anger. And this concept of accepting people where they're at, understanding their suffering, understanding that not everyone may have your abilities or situation, created a completely different interaction with the world. And I found out that when I stopped being critical, when I loved myself, this changed the dynamic, because then people came to me, they gave me love, they lifted me up,
Wow.
they believed in me. And this is this idea of having agency, because a lot of us look out and we're waiting for some magic to happen.
Sure.
For some people, they may be saying, well, God, please come and help me. And I don't have any problem with that narrative. But as you know, God says you must help yourself.
Right.
And that is really the reality. Is it is within us, and we do have the tools within ourselves to change our world. Because until you have peace inside yourself, there cannot be peace in the world.
So, see, you're still teaching me something, because I never thought about. I mean, when I'm reading this whole book, Into the Magic Shop, I'm thinking of your own story, your narrative, you going to this magic shop as a kid at 12 years old, coming out of poverty, and then it being the very thing that projects you, your whole trajectory changes. If I'm hearing you correctly now, what I'm hearing as I'm rehearing you tell your story is that, in a sense, we all have a magic shop that we can go into, and that we can discover the greatness that's on the inside of us if we learn the right tools to go inside to get greater. This is amazing, man. This is amazing.
Well, and it's interesting you say that, because I have people who come to me and they'll say, man, I read your book, your story's so powerful. Then they'll read it again, and then they'll start seeing all of these universal truths, right? Mm-hmm. And then they'll start, as you just point out, while it's a story about me, actually it's a story about all of us, and and the trauma that we've had, and gives you some insight and tools how to change your own perspective and how to change your life.
Beautiful.
And so interestingly, I actually am just finishing a book, and I'm just sending the proposal to the publisher.
Sure.
But it is called Mind Magic: How Manifestation Changes Everything.
I love it. I love it.
And that actually is the truth. It gets back to this exact subject. So it's not, while it does include elements of my story, it also includes several other examples of people. As an example, Jim Carrey, the actor, and his own suffering and what he had to overcome, and a variety of other examples, to show us that each of us has the ability to manifest. And can I use profanity?
You can.
The first line of the book actually starts out as, the universe doesn't give a fuck about you.
Boom.
And that's really the basis of getting back to what we talk about.
Yeah.
I used to think when I was younger that I just prayed for some person to show up and sort of say, hey, Jim, your life's shitty. Let me help you change your life. And suddenly I lived in a big house and had nice things around me. And I realized that the more I hoped for that, the less likely it was going to happen. Because you have to put forth certain effort, and you have to change your internal belief system. And once you do that, then that allows actually, if you will, nature to take its course. Because in the new book, I talk about how you embed intention into your subconscious, because that's really what you need to do. You need to have a relationship between what's happening at the conscious level and, if you will, be able to hack your subconscious with your intentions. But I would suggest, though, that the intentions ultimately will benefit you and make things you want to manifest, but it has to be in the context of service to others and making the world a better place.
Wow, there's so much that you said right there. It's so good. I tell you what we want to do. I want to see if we can shift gears right now. And this is great, because if anybody's out there like I am, or like I have been in my life, that you're listening to this and you're like, wow, that's what I want. There's something within that I want. this is the next step. Instead of us just talking about it, I want to invite us to actually go on and do it. I want us to take the first steps of going inside, going quote unquote into the magic shop, going into that special place of contemplation, of meditation, of prayer. There are so many different ways that people call it, getting into the presence of the divine, into God's presence. We can do that right now. And I'm going to ask you, Jim, if you could lead us. We're going to actually do it. And let me explain a little bit as we go. We talked the first 15 minutes about it, and I can talk to you forever, man. I already love this. This is beautiful. So the next 15 minutes, what we're going to do is we're going to actually do a guided meditation for 15 minutes. And what we'll have is we'll have a music bed that's kind of a hypnotic hip hop loop. That's just some music that's behind that'll lead us. The good thing about it is it's a gong. Every 5 minutes, it's a gong. So it'll start off with a big gong. And then the next gong you'll hear, you'll know you're at 5 minutes. The next gong, the next 5 minute interval, the next 5 minute interval. I actually have this up on my YouTube place as well as my Facebook page where you could just use it anytime. The full instrumental is a 30-minute instrumental where you could just go into meditation. And I use, specifically because of your book, I use the picture, the video of a loop of a candle. Because you said that was one of the things that helped you center is watching the candle. So what we're going to do is put this video of this music and this candle on, and those who are even having a hard time trying to center in, just watch the flame of the candle and allow yourself to get lost and guided in this meditation. And we'll do 15 minutes of it. And then after that, we'll chop it up, talk about what it felt like and what it was like. And I got to share something with you that helped me big time with this book after that 15 minutes meditation. So are we good to go there, Doc?
Sure. Let me just say that for those of you who are afraid or anxious of meditation, this is not a race. There's nothing to win here. You know, people get tied up in believing that they have to do something a certain way, that unless you do it that way, you're wrong. And the reality is that each of us actually can use some of these techniques to simply center ourselves, even though we don't understand that's happening. And that's simply by relaxing, breathing slowly in and out. And the very nature of doing that changes your relationship actually with your body and your response to the outside world.
Beautiful, beautiful. Oh, okay, so what I'll do is I'm going to put this on the bottom. If you see that ticking cross, it just simply says a 15-minute visualization meditation. Doctor, if you want to go a different direction, whether it's visualization or just self-love, whatever you feel you want to lead us in, that's on you. Feel free. I'm going to send you to join in, observe the candle, observe your breath, begin to visualize, and we'll go there. So it'll start as we start this music. Let's get it started right now.
Hi, everyone. What I would like you to do is to first just simply sit. Try to have your back straight. Put your hands on your knees. And then I'd like you to just close your eyes and relax. And for many of us, we don't know exactly what that means. So what I do is that I start thinking of relaxing. And I start at my toes. And I start thinking about my toes, the muscles becoming so relaxed. And then I think about my calves becoming relaxed. And just sit and slowly breathe in and breathe out. And you begin to feel yourself relaxing more and more as your muscles become more and more relaxed. And just slowly breathe in and breathe in for about 4 seconds and just hold it for a second and then slowly breathe out. And think of your muscles, your thigh muscles, your calf muscles becoming more and more relaxed. As you slowly relax, you slowly become present. You continue to look at the candle and that flame just move and you get lost in the candle as you relax more and more. And you are floating in some ways, and your abdominal muscles, you feel those relaxing, and now your chest muscles, and your back is becoming very, very relaxed, and you feel the muscles in your neck become relaxed. And then you feel your face muscles relax as your whole body becomes more and more relaxed. As you listen to the sound of my voice, you slowly breathe in and then you slowly breathe out, and you're looking at the candle and you're so relaxed. Your whole body is relaxed and you're open. You're opening your heart and you feel the warmth of what it's like to have your heart open and to care for another. And now I want to think of that person in your life who has given you the gift of unconditional love. Who is that person in your life that has given you unconditional love, where you know that you could go to them, you could tell them anything, and they do not judge you, but they embrace you? That person in your life, oftentimes it's one's mother, that person in your life who will embrace you unconditionally and give you that love. For some of you, you may have never experienced that. Some of you have never had someone who's given you unconditional love. But what I want you to imagine then is a person or someone that you can think of who is that person, who you can look to, and who is the person who gives unconditional love to everyone around them. And as you're slowly breathing in and exhaling, breathing in and hold it and just exhale, I want you to continue looking at the candle, and within that candle, I want you to think about that feeling of being loved unconditionally, being held, not judged. And what does that feel like? You feel this warmth in your body. You feel so relaxed as you continue to breathe in and slowly exhale. And you feel that love that's unconditional, that acceptance, something you may have never felt before. And I want you to just be that. Just sit there and float, looking at the candle and receiving unconditional love and sitting with that feeling of what it's like. How does it feel to have your burdens lifted? How does it feel when you're now free to be who you are? You don't have to worry about others judging you. You feel safe. You feel at home. You feel so relaxed as you think about that person who has given you unconditional love. While you imagine what that's like to be cared for, to not have to fear, to be relaxed, to be calm, to be accepted, and know that deep down inside that you're worthy of love. That you're worthy of love, that you are unique and a special being. You are a person who deep within you, no matter what you've done, can change your path and become everything you wish to be. And just sit with that feeling and be more and more relaxed. Feel your body covered in warmth, and you're floating as you look at the candle, thinking of how it feels to be accepted, to be loved, not to be judged, and how that releases you. how suddenly the burdens that you have been carrying from childhood, the pain that you have suffered, the hardships that you've overcome, those things have made you what you are. Now breathe in and slowly breathe out. Breathe in and slowly breathe out. While for many of us, our childhood, our lives have been challenging, they also have allowed us to see. They've allowed us to see how we don't have to be our past, how we know what it is to care for others, to love others, because that is what each of us wanted as a child. And sit now and think again of that person who has given you unconditional love in your life. Imagine someone who accepts you, who doesn't judge you, who knows that deep down within you that your heart is beautiful, that within you is the ability and the power to change not only yourself and become that person you want to be, but it makes you also understand that by loving, by caring, you can release the burden that you carry, the burden that has made you oftentimes do things you're ashamed of, the burden that has made you not be your best self. And just sit and relax and look at the candle and slowly breathe in and out and feel the lightness of your being as that burden is lifted from you. You can feel how, as that burden is lifted, that darkness, that pain, that it reveals to you a light, and that light is grace. That light is acceptance. That light is unconditional love of who you are. Your burden is completely lifted, and you're just sitting there with grace, with this deep warmth that lets you know that within you is the incredible ability to change the lives of others. Because what you realize when you've removed that burden, when you're sitting with yourself and you feel that warmth, that unconditional love, that makes you understand how love can change everything. How within you is this incredible ability to be your best self, no matter what you have done in your life. There is always the potential to care, to love, to also forgive yourself. And this is the power of love. It allows you to remove the shackles of pain, of suffering, and the darkness of how that has affected your life. And it liberates you because you know that deep inside of you, regardless, there is a child who wants to be loved, and when they're given love, they grow and they see the world in a different way. They see the world as everyone connected. They see the world as filled with love. They are liberated and they're free. You are free. Your burdens have been lifted. And I just want you to think about that warmth of unconditional love, that warmth of being accepted, and just slowly breathe in and slowly release it. And you feel so, so relaxed. You feel so, so loved as you look at the candle and continue to slowly breathe in and release that breath and know that you are loved. Know that your past is your past and that you have a future because you've been able to relax. You've been able to have those burdens lifted. You've been able to have that fear taken away. And when that is there, all that's left is love. Love and acceptance for yourself and the incredible, unique abilities that you have. And it's just a light that has sat within you. And now you can use that light to not only change your own life and be in the light and fulfilling your greatest potential, but you have now released a light that you can carry with you. And in every interaction, you have the ability to give that warmth, to give that love, that unconditional love to another, because you know how that feels deep within you. The presence of love, that holder that makes you feel safe, that makes you feel happy, that makes you feel that anything is possible for you. It is also something you can give another by just holding your heart open, not being afraid of who you are, not being afraid of what you've done, but accepting that you, like everyone else, deserves love. You deserve to be free. You deserve to understand that what has happened to you in the past is not you. It does not define you. It is that light within you that when you realize that begins to shine, when you realize it's not your fault oftentimes, when you realize that you have within you this incredible power, not only to change your life, but to change other people's lives. And I want you to just sit with that power within you, that light within you, to give grace, to give love, to give compassion to another. And just sit with that feeling as we slowly breathe in and we exhale, and we feel so, so relaxed. We feel so warm. We have this sense that like has been given to us, that gift by that person, it is within us to give to another. And just sit with that feeling of love, that feeling of warmth, that feeling of safety, and just hold that there. That is your gift. It is a gift to you. It is a gift to anyone. And it is so, so powerful. So just relax and breathe in and slowly breathe out. Breathe in and slowly breathe out. And now I just want you to relax and sit and calm yourself and feel that deep warmth, that love. And slowly breathe in and out. In and out. In and out. And feel that warmth, feel that love. And now open your eyes slowly and be with us again.
Wow. Thanks, Doc. That was good, man. For personally, seeing that person immediately, I thought, of course, you said it could be your mother. Immediately, I thought of my mother. And it just took me to a place of peace. And then looking at that flame, one of the interesting things I never thought and didn't realize looking at that flame is that flame didn't have to fight to be. It just was. Thank you for leading us. Thank you so much for leading us, sir.
No problem.
Let me ask you, when you began doing this at 12 years old, Kid coming up in poverty, dad's an alcoholic, so many things that you're going through and fighting. Um, and the trajectory that it took you on. I don't know if maybe a minute or so, if you could just talk to that of what was it like? Was it a breath of fresh air for you as a 12-year-old young man to do this and to learn it and to start practicing it, or what?
Well, I have to tell you, at first, I had never done anything like that, and frankly, at 12, I wasn't that interested initially because it's something foreign and I didn't know exactly what was going to happen. And once, and in fact, in some ways, she was like that loving mother. She was patient, she guided me, and then I started to see the effects. I started to see that when I relaxed, when I breathed, I saw other possibilities, and that the things that had happened in my life were not me, nor were they my fault as a child. And that relieved this burden. And then it made me look through a different lens. No longer did I see the impossible. No longer did I feel hopelessness. I
Mhm.
felt this incredible feeling of my own abilities and agency to change my situation. And
Wow.
of course, that changed everything. And it made me believe that that I could go to college, that I could go to medical school, that I had the ability to become a neurosurgeon, which I did. I believed that I had the ability to be an entrepreneur, and I was a very successful one, running a company that went public at 1.3 billion. It allowed me in my point of deepest despair, actually, when I lost $80 million in 6 weeks and bankrupt,
Wow.
that I could look though and see what it was that I needed still to learn. Because, my trajectory, I thought, based on what this woman had taught me, that I thought what happiness meant. And remember,
Mhm.
at 12, you're not particularly sophisticated.
Right.
So I still believed it was acquiring things. It was to have a Rolex. It was to have a mansion. It was to drive a Porsche, or to have these positions where you keep going up and up. And the problem was every time I got something, or was given accolades for achieving something, there was a deep emptiness inside. And it wasn't because I was bad in any way. It was because everything I was doing, though, was to overcome the shame and my own anxiety and fears, believing that if I did these things, people would go, "Oh, he's worthy." And then it suddenly hit me in my lowest point that I was always worthy.
Wow.
And I was again liberated because at that deepest point was when I was $3 million in the hole. I had made some commitments to charity, and I just saw now my connection to everything. And when I was going through this process, you realize that when you owe people a lot of money, you have two friends. They're your banker and your lawyer.
See,
And and
what's up?
so I had to, sell my mansion, my cars, etc. And the thing, though, was that it turned out the obligations thought I had to charity, the lawyers had actually not completed the documents.
Mm.
And I had a choice to take all the stock that I had in this company that hadn't gone public and not give it away.
Mhm.
But the best decision I ever made was to still give it all away. And that
Wow.
ended up being $30 million in the face of me being 3 million in the hole. And of course, that could make
Mm.
my life comfortable, that could solve all my problems. But what I tell people is here I had this incredible trajectory from nothing to being at the pinnacle of success, yet I felt empty. I lost everything, and then when I
Wow.
gave it all away, I felt full.
Oh my gosh.
Because because the motivation then was outwardly focused, and it was a
Mhm.
being of service. And this set up health clinics all over the world, blood banks, programs for teens and young adults with AIDS, HIV, programs
Mhm.
for the disabled, and it allowed me to create the center that I run at Stanford, the Center for Compassion and Altruism Research and Education, which your viewers can find at ccare.stanford.edu. And the center I founded at the medical school at Stanford, the founding benefactor actually ended up being the Dalai Lama. And you can imagine how my trajectory changed again. Here I became friends with the Dalai Lama, became the chairman of the Dalai Lama Foundation. I've met spiritual and religious leaders all over the world. Desmond Tutu, the Nobel laureate, the Pope, Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, Sadhguru, Radhanath Swami, Sogyal Rinpoche, people from all religious beliefs. And the thing about that, though, is that all of these people, although they preach their dogma of their religion, are actually above that. They connect to people at the level of, do you love? Do you care? Are you compassionate? And they can read these feelings in a heartbeat. And that is what connects with these people deeply. It's not being able to memorize a sutra or passages from the Bible. It's about, do you walk the walk?
There you go.
Not talk. And so many people use these religious devotion as a justification for, again, feeling their emptiness or trying to fill the emptiness they have inside through a projection of my religion is superior to yours.
Sure.
And that's the problem with a lot of religious people oftentimes. It's not about anything to do with superiority. It's about common humanity and giving universal love and acceptance to people.
Yeah.
That is each of our greatest gift. That's the thing that will fill that void. And that is the thing that will change the world for the better.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I think since, the divine, since God is the ground of all being, it's not how high can you get, but how low can you go? How can you get down in the dirt with people and connect with people on a real level? And thank you for that. I want to share something. I mentioned that I was going to share something that was really great for me in reading your book. And it was a big, big gift from me personally. I have been thinking about, and I have become a fanboy of meditation probably about 7-8 years ago. I'm a preacher by trade. I love preaching and I love sharing. And I started preaching about meditation. And I kind of felt that tap on my shoulder from above that just said, or maybe the knock on the head that just said, you're talking about this, but you ain't doing it, And I kind of didn't feel good. I felt some kind of way about that. So I said, let me start doing it. So I started delving into it. But one of the things that I started falling in love with it, I started enjoying it, and I used it as a part of my quote unquote time with God. And when I went into one of my hardest times in my life, my wife and I, we separated in our 25th year of being married. And before everything else unraveled, the one thing that kept my mind and kept me together was that daily practice of meditation. And it brought me out of that. Good news, long story short, we made it through that hard time, found each other, back in love with each other. And we were separated, actually divorced for about 9 months, and that was it. And we found each other and was like, you know what? She's like, you're crazy, but I can't live without you. And I felt the same way. You're crazy, but I can't live without you. So let's figure out how to live with each other and how to become better. And it was through meditation. We both started going into a deeper practice. So I fell in love with it. When I wanted to try to cooperate or combine meditation with one of my other loves is hip hop. I'm a hip hop head, love rap, love hip hop, love the whole community. When I decided to figure out how to do that, on my birthday, March the 21st of this year, I said, okay, that's it. I am going to do an album where meditation meets hip hop. Where hip hop, so I'm going to rap about meditation, but I'm also going to do some meditation, guided meditation in hip hop. And I've been thinking about it for a while. On my birthday, I decided to do it. That was March the 21st. Okay. June the 19th, I actually released the album. I've never done an album in 9 weeks. Okay. But what helped me was your book, sir. Okay.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
The whole idea of the visualization where you go into how the lady taught you how to visualize what you want your 3 wishes, and looking into the camera candle. That's why we put a candle on that video of just getting lost in that and opening up your heart and then finding out, what do you really want? I love the story where Jesus asked the guy that was lame, do you want to get whole? Like, what do you really go to the core, the center of what you really want, and see it, visualize it. And in that translated state, when that transformed state, I began to just see this album done. I was panicking. I was like, how in the world am I going to do an album? How am I going to get this done in 6 weeks, 9 weeks? And before every night, I would calm myself. I would do that same start at the toes and just go on up the whole body, calm myself down, get into a trance state, and then begin to visualize the work done. Somewhere along the line, I got that knock on the head again that said, the music is already done. The album is done. You just have to birth it into existence. So if you, just like a midwife, like a mother, if you calm yourself down, the baby is formed. You just allow it to come through you. And truly, within 9 weeks, I never did a doggone album. In 9 weeks, from the music to the rhymes to performing it, and sure enough, it was through that. So I want to give tribute to you, my man. Thank you for that, because you helped me, and my hope is to help others with this project. So thank you once again. I appreciate you, my brother.
Well, thank you, my friend. You know, I am where I am today because people cared and loved for me. And that is actually the gift that each of us has. And like I may have given you something, you are now taking that out and being of service to others. And that's the gift, and that's what makes us whole. Albert Schweitzer had a quote, although I can't remember it exactly, but it basically says, while I cannot predict the future, what I do know is that those who are of service to others will be the happiest.
Wow. Boom. Oh, that's just let that resonate. As one of the comedians say, let that sizzle in your spirit. We're going to let that sizzle. Hey, thank you once again, Dr. Doti. I appreciate you so much. How can people get in touch with you? I put up on your website. Is it through care right at Stanford edu? There's any other way?
Sure. You can drop me an email at jrdoti, D-O-T-Y, at stanford.edu. And while I do receive a few hundred emails a day, and I realistically cannot answer every email, that being said, there are many that I do answer. And, the book is now in 40 countries. It's been a bestseller in a number of countries, including Russia, Poland, United Arab Emirates, South Korea. And the other interesting thing, we're talking about hip hop and music, the Korean pop music band BTS, actually, which is probably one of the most popular bands in the world.
Yeah, they look so good. How is it they can sing good, look good, dance good? I just got rhymes.
Yeah, so their third album, called Love Yourself Tear, actually is based on my book, and has a song in it called Magic Shop.
What?
Yeah, check it out.
I'm gonna have to check it out. Magic Shop. One last piece that you challenged me when we first talked. We talked about this, and I told you about the album and everything. And we were talking about one of the pieces that you have in the book. You call it the ABCs of the heart. Okay, and you did letters, I think C through L.
Yes.
And so you challenged me. It was like, could you put those ideas, those ABCs, into a rhyme form? And I was like, oh, bro, I'm in hip hop mode. I'm trying to finish this album. Don't mess with me. I can do this. And I've started to get it in my head. And then Dr. Doti, you floored me because you said, great, can you get it to me by Friday? I was like, oh my gosh. And so once again, doing the technique of visualization, calming my heart, calming my mind, I started them out, and started doing the ABCs. I connected with two or three other great friends that are great lyricists and rhymers. So I'll give shout out to, oh my gosh, now I'm trying to think of it, Richie Martin Jr. Oh gosh, I'm blanking on the names and now I'm messing up.
No
My
worries.
man, Randy Mason, who is a beast on the mic, and then Ronnie Chia. Those three, they contributed as well. And we got through the entire alphabet, ABCs of the Heart. What I'll probably do is throw that up on my Facebook and I'll send it to you as well.
Oh,
I
yeah.
already sent it to you. And that was, once again, a tribute to your flow and what you contribute to the world. So thank you again. We appreciate you, my man. I don't want to hold you long. Thanks to everybody. We had a wonderful time, 15 minutes of meditation. We did a little bit over 15 of chopping it up.
That's okay.
I can talk to you forever. All right.
You're
I'm going
sweet.
to let you go, though, man. I'm going to let you go. Much peace
Okay.
to everybody out there. Thank you, guys. Thank you, sir. Have a
Take
wonderful
care.
life. Peace.
Okay, my friend. Let's see.
We out of here. Holla.
Okay, my friend. You take care of yourself.
You take care, too, my man. Peace.